Oh dear. Is this a crazy rabbit who's woken up already? Uh-oh. Oh, oh. I see trouble when I smell it. Hey, Wabbit. Good morning, sir. Let me first thank you. And this is for my future viewers as well, if you watch this video later. I highly enjoyed the talks. The angry man with his fist up in the American air of Crazy Rabbit this morning. I'm always. Oh, it's 7:39 already. You're late. You're about to go to work, I guess. I enjoy your talks, and I enjoy the rants and the little jams you do. The peanut butter jams, push button jams. I think that's the thing. Like Crazy Rabbit introduces all new kind of terminology in an already very confusing world, and I highly enjoy all of it. So thank you. Hey, goedemiddag, Maltas. Good afternoon, Maltas. Hola, for our Spanish viewers. Hola. ¿Cómo está? ¿Está bien? I don't know. No, sir. No BPM. I mean, 128 is kind of the maximum that I can handle, that my feet will still follow. My hands can do fast, but my feet won't do it anymore. Está bien, está bien. ¿Cómo está bien? My Spanish is at least as good as my beat making, at least, if not better. So yeah, I fired up the bleep loop generator again. And oh, my microphone stand is almost crushing through one of my displays. So you will see a donation goal soon on this channel. I fired it up again, but yeah, this today will be a bit different. Of course, I removed all the cables from yesterday. I dig it, diggity dig, but it has to go. This module is super large, and I should probably build a secondary rack just to hold the Bleep Loop 2000. A tiny side rack, can sit anywhere. It's too hard to let go. The memes are too real, and the Splarf button brings in so many donations. So I basically finance my entire operation with this one Splarf. So yeah, I think I already set this channel to or this video to as not safe for children. This remains for the future videos as well, for the foreseen future. That one up is like, this is like financing my entire operation in life and afterlife. The Splarf, setting Splarf 2 to Splarf 1 is like introduces all kinds of madness. So today I put my tennis ball aside. Sorry, Wabbit. It's no longer, it's today not the star of the show, but it's still a sidekick. All the cables are removed. The modules are left in the position where they were left yesterday after the stream. But it has very little use to continue building up on what I did yesterday, because that's about all I knew. Today I pulled up the manual for the OXI One. It is probably not fully updated because I just upgraded the firmware of the OXI to, I think, 5.3, I want to say. And the manual is up to 4.5. I don't care. But I will probably need the manual to connect the CV and gate outputs of the OXI One to my modular rig. So the manual is at hand. And so OXI One, I upgraded the firmware. I created an empty project. So this, whatever you see here is, well, basically nothing. I don't know why it's lighting up all the lights because I didn't ask for that. So when I bought the OXI One last year or over a year ago, I also immediately ordered the OXI Pipe. What is an OXI Pipe? Oh yeah. Oh, the OXI. Yeah, but the beautiful thing, Webbit, about the OXI One is even I hardly ever read the manual so far. Not that I use it so often. I mean, I hardly made any music this year, but that's for a different discussion, as the Webbit would say. But I think it's pretty well. It's not too hard to. There is a quick reference card in the box as well. I use that mostly to set up a few of the projects that I tested this year. And I mean, we can all press some. Oh, this is stochastic sequencer. I see from what is happening now. So setting a channel to. Oh yeah, it's in stochastic mode right now. I can set it to mono, which is the easiest. So now it's a monophonic sequencer with where you can just input the notes, and I see Webbit do this all the time. It's the same on the polyend tracker or play or whatever. Also nice stuff. This is just a sequencer that will send notes somewhere, and if we are lucky, we receive those notes somewhere, and sound will come out of the receiving parts. The OXI One itself doesn't make sound. If it does, I highly suggest you send it back to Manuel in Spain, because if this thing starts making sound, you have a problem. You have to pick up that. Maltas, hartstikke leuk dat je er was. De groeten aan je oude vader. I will see you later, man. Thanks a lot. Crazy. I am sad that Crazy Webbit is so far across the pond from me. On the other hand, it's quite safe because I can do whatever I like with this OXI. And by the time he gets here, by the time his flight lands, I can move to a different country already. So I'm safe from the Webbit. But are we ever really? Okay, so this, I have the OXI One connected through USB to my computer right now, which is currently only for charging purposes, because it could just run off batteries. But usually, or what I did so far, is send the MIDI information from these sequences over USB to my DAW, which can be Ableton Live, or lately I've been working with Reaper again, which is super fast, super light, and well, quite fun. But as you can see, the OXI One also has MIDI ins and outs, so you can use that, but it also has these 8 CV and gates. And these correspond more or less to what these modules can accept. So it would be as easy as plugging the CV from this into, for example, the voltage per octave input of the Pixie, and they would now have a physical connection through which voltages between -3 and +5 volt travel. So in theory, this would mean that the sequencer, if it sends out voltages over CV1, could drive the pitch, the notes that this module will be playing. That's the idea in general. But to make that a bit clearer, to make it easier to patch, OXI One came up with a thingy, by the way. I also got a few cables from OXI. Manuel gave me these because at first, initially, my OXI One device had an issue. The main issue was that this button 4 kept being stuck, and if you long press these things, they get different functions, and this would go down, this number 4, would go down and never go up again unless I wiggled it. And it got to a point where it, even if I wanted to do something on a different sequencer track, it still brought me back to 4 because this button, once pressed, would be sticky. I sent it back to Spain. It was taken apart, or so they said. They said there was nothing wrong with it, sent it back to me with a few free cables. These are glowing cables even. So these are patch cables with LED lights in them. Fun. As a way to, well, or not congratulate me, to say we're sorry. And then it worked. And I hope it will keep working. But if that was so finicky to begin with, I kind of fear that over time this will become an issue. But whatever. If we had tens or hundreds of hours of fun with a device and then something gets sticky, okay, we'll fix it when we fix it. But okay, I got the OXI Pipe, and I will show you. This is actually, I have not used it. I haven't even got it from its packaging. It has been sitting in the OXI box for over a year. Right, opening plastic bags is hard. And what this does, it even comes with a few. I'm screwed. It comes with a few of them. What this does is bring the 8 CV outputs and gate outputs from the back into your rack. So if I install this somewhere and connect it through this cable, which is actually an HDMI to micro HDMI connection, then I won't have to use patch cables in the back of the OXI One anymore. So this will remain clean and I can patch it closer in the rack. So the cables will remain here and not go here. It's just a little thingy. I thought it was nice. I saw it in the shop when I purchased my OXI One and I thought, well, why not? It wasn't expensive. They had, because they now have the Mark II of the OXI One, they now, or with the Halloween and so on, they had a sale on this pipe thing. It was like 50% off or something. It was like 40 euros, I think. So this pipe goes into this HDMI port, and I can already just use it by just connecting the HDMI here. And this is a passive module, so it needs no power. It's a passive way of bringing the connectors from the back to your modular rig. So I have to decide. I think I will remove the axon. This is nobody's watching anymore, so I'm talking to myself, but that's okay. It's for future reference for myself too. It's okay. This ALM Axon 2 is an expansion of Pamela's Pro Workout. It gives you more performative options to make Pamela's Pro Workout even more pro. But I don't see me use that anytime soon. This could go. And of course, the Bleep Bloop 2000 should go as well, because I don't use it except for the memes. But this will probably have to go the moment I buy the Board Brain Optics version 2, which will bring 8 audio NCV ins and outs over ADAT into my rack. And I hope to be able to use that once I have enabled my 20-year-old RME Fireface 800 on my Windows PC. It doesn't work on the Mac anymore, but it can still run on Windows if I can find a proper PCIe card with the proper Texas Instrument chips. So It's a bit. This is a bit overkill. The OXI One is, of course, a proven by now sequencer, and but the Hermod from Squarp Instruments is another very well proven piece of technology, um, which I haven't learned yet. I have done a few tests with this when I received it as a gift from Dr. Cynthia. It was, I think. So as you can see, this has 8 tracks of possible MIDI notes, but it can also do effects like Euclidean sequencing and so on. And it has also 8 CV and 8 gate outputs, like the same that the OXI One has through the OXI Pipe. So you can see that it's not super useful to have both of them. So, but yeah, I got the Hermod as a gift. I did pay the kind guy an amount for it, but it was originally gifted to me, which was very kind. And I at least want to give it a good try, want to learn it. And it could also be a gateway into the Hammer Plus, which is a newer version of this module, or even the Apex, which is a larger desktop version, which could surpass what OXI One can do. But I don't know. I just mounted the things I had in the rack, and it was full. And then, well, it was the end. I can choose to not put this here. I can just lay it here and cable it from there, or cable it from the OXI itself. But it's all for learning purposes right now. I'm fine with anything. I think I will remove the axon now. So let me take away the power from the rack, and I will just see how this was connected. I don't remember. I'm using these Befaco Nerlies for installing my modules. They are fine for mounting with hand. I don't need a screwdriver or other tools. And another cool thing is that they have these protective washers, so you will not get scratches on your modules. I'm pretty OCD about that. So this module is connected by this 5-layer expander cable, which connects to the back of the Pamela's Pro workout. I can remove the cable, I think, if it's not stuck too hard, that is. Not sure why it's so. I will break my nails over this. I say that because I always break nails, whatever I do. Even if I'm putting some peanut butter and jam on my sandwich, I break my nails already. I will leave this hanging here. It's no use, but it's also not a risk or anything. So I will leave the cable for the axon hanging. I will put it aside for now. Let's find a nice location so we don't forget. We will always remember axon. But I won't use it right now. Now I've got myself a new location. You can also easily mount modules upside down if you like that better. For example, if you use this ornamented grime and you want to bring the ins and outs closer to other modules that you might have. I've seen many people mounting modules upside down for various reasons, so it can be done. So this is, now you can immediately see that the location is probably not great because this cable, which is not very flexible, will now sit here. which is not ideal. Plus, the CV and gates will have to travel all the way from this corner to the various modules, meaning a lot of cable clutter. If the OXI One were to be my central sequencer for this rack, I could probably better mount the CV and gate here in the middle somehow and bring over one ornament of crime to the other side. Or I think it's part of the hobby to constantly rearrange your modules. It's part of the fun. I will use these same Befaco knurlies. Oh, the cable of that expansion creeped out for a moment. I'm going to put it here in the corner. Of course, now I would have to update my modular on the website as well. Keeping track. No, I won't. So I will just put in these 2 screws by hand. I mean, enough is enough. I learned that as a kid already from my dad. He said, "Fast is fast," which means, well, when it's fixed, it's fixed. You don't have to overpower how tight you screw everything. It just has to stay in its place, and you don't want to ruin anything. So I'm not going to use the screws that came with it because they are probably the simpler screws. Yeah, they are like that's fine. Thank you, Manuel from OXI Instruments, but I'm not going to use that. So the different parts, even these tighteners and so on, they go back into the packaging. I keep almost everything around for if I ever sell or give away something. Then it would still have the original box. So okay, I can power on the rack again. You won't see anything happening here because, like I said, it's a passive module. It doesn't need power, and it wouldn't know what to do with it. It can, if it works, pipe the CV engage from the OXI One into this module, so it's easier to patch into the hole. Now, I don't know how any of this works. Handy, isn't it? I do have also, it came also with the OXI One, I do have a MIDI out TRS to a normal MIDI plug, which I could probably push into Hermod, and Hermod could distribute it further. So I could even just sequence the modules through MIDI. But today was actually about an OXI One Mk1 walking into a modular bar and see what we can get out of it. Also, do you ever have this problem that a cable is always just slightly too short? Subscribe if you do. Okay. So we have to make sure that I made a sequence, or I put in some notes here, and I want to transmit those notes over CV1, for example, into a module. So I will make a connection from the CV1 into the voltage per octave on Pixie. I'm using one of those light cables that I received as a gift from OXI. You should actually not do that. Not for pitch information, that is. You can use it perfectly for gates, so to trigger, because then the voltage is more or less 5 or 10 volt per pulse, and it's okay. But the voltage per octave to set the pitch on a voice, on an oscillator, is more precise, and using these LEDs will slightly change the voltage that's left over for the actual transportation of the pitch information. So I would not suggest using light cables on everything, but I think it can be fun. And I got them as a gift. I think it can be fun to use them this time, this one test. So I'm going to open this OXI Glows package as well. I happen to have scissors here. Would be nice if those scissors were actually sharp. There we go. A few more of these cables. They are nice because they are very flexible. They are thick yet flexible. I like that. They have a beautiful quality. Well done, OXI One. Well done, OXI Instruments. Sorry. So there will be gates coming from the OXI One as well. So I'm going to try and trigger the VCA of the Pixie, of the Platts clone, with a gate coming from this machine as well. I have no idea, because if I now start the sequencer, start to play back, it will just play back this note information over MIDI. So I could probably capture it in Ableton Live, and let's see if that at least works, okay? So that we have a working OXI One sequence. And then I will grab the manual as well in a moment to try and actually get this played over CV into my Eurorack. So the manual, okay. Let's see. This is my voice coming into Ableton Live. And I still have some stuff set up from yesterday. I basically copied that project and use it as a starting point for today. I will add a MIDI track, which will listen to the OXI One, to channel 1. And you see here that something is coming in. And these are not, this is not sound, but these are MIDI notes that are coming in from the OXI sequencer, which is correct because we started, I entered a few notes, as you can see. So I am on sequencer 1, which by default sends information over MIDI channel 1. And I entered a few notes, which are being played indefinitely. So it's correct that it's coming in on in Ableton Live. And we could throw a synth on it, like Pigments, for example, which I just upgraded to version 7. Okay. Gonna lower the volume. So here's Pigments. It's receiving the note information very well. Let me see if we have some kind of plucky sound or something. Bells. Okay, this is more up my alley. So don't think that my Eurorack device is doing anything now. Because like I said, these notes are now sent over MIDI to Ableton Live. And it's now not in a particular key or anything. So I'm gonna see if I can change that. How did it work again? Okay, scale and root. And oh, we have something playing. And it's all courtesy of pigments inside of Ableton Live that we get this nice tone. So here it is again, OXI One, channel 1, and the audio is being sent to the master channel. And Pigments is all responsible for what we hear right now. Okay, that's working. Could lower this a bit more because I will let this play for a moment. So back to the rack, because this is not what I want. I want these notes to go into my modular rack. And grab an input of my audio interface and grab the output of the Pixie here, and I will enable this in Ableton Live, this input. Let's see, where is it? Oh, wait. Yeah, it only works if I remove the trigger cable. Otherwise, Plets will wait for a trigger from the sequencer. So now we got a droning sound. Coming from the module. And on top of that we hear the sequence being played through Pigments. Let's go a bit lower even. Okay, it's pretty cool, but it's just a droning sound. And we want to trigger this from the OXI. Okay. So I think we have to go into the CV and gate setup, which is Shift LFO. And the top rows select sequencer 1 to 4. So here is in small letters CV and gate. And by the way, in upcoming streams, I will enhance the lighting and everything because my big lights are set up to show me during gaming streams on Twitch. And I only have this small bulb here. So it's a bit dark and a bit bad quality video. I'm sorry about that. I hope that at least the audio is good because I think that's way more important than video quality. But if both are in perfect shape, that's of course optimal. So I think without looking at the manual, if the top rows select sequencer 1 to 4, and these are 8 lanes for CV, then I would think that the top left block would assign CV1 to sequencer 1 pitch. This should work. So that and okay. Can we control? Oh, can we see that? Yes. We need no gate information right now. We are only sending pitch. So the idea is to send over CV1, which is this output, this cable, send the pitch information of sequence 1. So if I play now, that's awesome. So it works right away. And I haven't even looked at a proper manual yet. So the sequence that you see here is now being played over. I don't see any lights, by the way. Maybe it's not dark enough here. No, I don't see lights through this cable. It's all fine. So it works. The notes that I put in here okay. So changing notes in sequence 1 actually sends them to this one. And you also, why was the sound like doubled up? Because we also send at the same time the same note information over USB into Ableton Live. So you hear pigments at the same time as the Platts clone, which is pretty cool. So here on this channel, named Platts, you see audio incoming from the Platts module, but there's also still MIDI coming. So OXI One Mk1 sends it over multiple connections at the same time. You can probably set that per sequencer where it sends it, but okay, I haven't tried that. So if I now mute pigment, you will hear only what Platts is doing, but this is what it's really doing when I take the effects in the DAW away. So, and this is fantastic because it's much cheaper to have effects running in your digital audio workstation than it is to have them inside your Eurorack. Granted, if you have them as Eurorack modules, you can change the parameters of your effects over CV as well, which is of course fantastic. But you can do that through MIDI too. So, like these Valhalla Supermassive, for example, you can bind all these knobs to MIDI parameters. So you would be able to automate them or change them using your launch control XL3 from Novation, for example, which I still have in the box, but I got it for this kind of work. So, and I do have some paid plugins like SparkVerb. And it's not cheap, but it can do a lot. And it's, of course, much cheaper than having this inside of Eurorack. Yeah, inside Eurorack. Okay, engage pigments again. So we have now combined a Eurorack module with pigments. Let's see if we can add something else. Actually, I want to add pigments to the docking group so that the sound volume is lowered while I'm talking. I like that better. I don't want the music to overpower my explanations or my memes. So yeah, it's getting repetitive a lot. So let's introduce something else. I think I will also try to use the gate because I'm not sending gate information currently to this pipe into Pixie. You don't hear this oscillator play at all. It's waiting for a signal to open up its VCA. But I think, because we have a gate here as well, there we go. And these lights are actually working. So these are also the OXI lights. And for a gate, that's okay. It's okay if we lose like a few millivolts for the LEDs. This light was brighter last time I turned it on, so I'm gonna grab some software to, yeah. I think it's better. Okay, they're walking to a bar with all these Eurorack hats and see what it has done. So, the gate information triggers the notes on the VCA right there. I don't know. Oh, trig. I can change the type. There are, of course, many more settings, which I currently don't know because I didn't look at the manual yet. This does mean that it's working. So the CV and gate information from OXI One travel through this HDMI cable into OXI Pipe. And OXI Pipe, it will then deliver it to the modules of my choosing. So I can use this gate also to run a trigger into Zadar. So here you see that OXI is triggering these nodes. Let me mute pigments for a moment. Okay. So we can now use the output of this wave from Zadar as the level for our voice. And by changing the shape, we can now decide the envelope, the shape of the opening and closing of the voltage controlled attenuator of this module, because it has one inside, it has one built in. It's also pretty cool that this light turns blue. You can then somehow see that something is at least happening. So by changing the envelope, the shape of the voltage that goes into the amplifier of this module, you can get an entirely different character of the sound. I can set a BPM, I think. To as low as 20 on the OXI One. By doing that, it becomes a bit easier to hear what's happening with the shapes. I will also set Ableton Live to 30 BPM, so the delays and other effects will be in sync with our sequence. You can hear that in a delay. They now do follow the speed of the sequence. See? Do you hear that? The shape of the sawtooth? Without changing anything on the oscillator module, we get a different sound characteristic. And it's fun that you can actually see the lights flicker in that same shape. So it works. I still thank Jeff Hoskins for advising Zadar to me. The fun thing is, we can let the sound of the OXI go through a filter first. We can control the filter with Zadar as well. At least we're gonna try. So The output will come from mutable instruments ripples, and the input comes through this cable. So it's now filtered. I got the frequency of the filter in the clockwise in the noon position, so we lose the top end. I can open it, and we hear kind of the same thing we heard initially. There's also resonance. Let's turn it into a different type of sequence. Let's see for matricial. I kind of forgot how it worked, but I will try. So the first, these are triggers. So we have, okay, it's divided into 4 sequences, each with 16 possible triggering points, which can trigger different notes. It doesn't have to be the same amount of notes as the amount of triggers. So let's set a few triggers. And let's set note information too. Let's see. Note G2. How does this work again? You actually have to hold it? I don't know. I can set an end of the notes here so that it goes from note value this to this. I don't hear it coming out of the modular part anymore. Let's see if, yeah, I think Pigments is still receiving. So Pigments is still receiving the notes. Okay. And I think there's also a way to do this in a Euclidean fashion or something. Interval. Let's set the velocity, the octave, the gate. The gate. So mind you, you are not hearing the Eurorack right now. You are hearing Pigments in Ableton Live. This way I can check whether it's actually doing something. Channel 1. I'm pretty sure I could set gate information. I think it should just work. I don't see a trigger on Sadar anymore. So perhaps, do I have to set it again? Oh, I changed the sequencer from mono to matricial, and the settings for CV and gate are gone. And it's back. Okay, so now I can mute Pigments. And what you now hear again is what the matricial sequencer is sending out. It's still sending gate information and pitch information out. Okay, that's working. The notes are now being played. 7 notes. Okay, that works. I can set the endpoint of the notes, for example, on 10. So it will now... Okay, it cannot find notes there, but... And there's also a probability. And let's see if the gates... Where's velocity? Octave gates. Gates are on all locations. Can I turn them off? Oh, there's a Oh, you can randomize it too. Okay, well, it's working so far. So OXI One is sending pitch and gate information through HDMI into the pipe, into Pixie. We are not modulating the frequency of the filter and the resonance, sorry. And also we're not changing the timbre. Oof. This ripples from mutable instrument can easily sing. Adulting is a bitch, Rabbit. Welcome back. So I can report some success. While you were adulting, I was playing. Oh, sorry for the microphone holder in the view, but it is what it is for now. I added a few OXI light cables so you can see when a signal is actually being sent or received through LED lights. That's okay, Rabbit. Not much has happened. Well, I did manage to get a matricial sequencer running on track 1 in the OXI One. I also installed the OXI Pipe into my rack. It's connected through an HDMI cable to the back of the OXI One, and it's now sending notes to the Eurorack. So the notes that are being played on this matricial part now are turned into voltages that go into this particular module over here. So I also hooked up a Pigment track inside of Ableton Live. So you can hear that as well. They play in tandem and they seem to be kind of in the same ballpark tuning wise, which is success. Let me see if I have. So I'm now going through a few presets in Pigments. But this is already a very non-musical part of using plugins, because Pigment, or any VST with all the presets, they are wonderfully designed. I could never do that on my own. On the other hand, the scrolling, the depth scrolling through these is It's not very inspiring. But sometimes one preset sound can inspire me to create an entire song. That has happened. So I'm not here to complain. So we now have a combination of modular sound coming in on this track and a pad-like sound on Pigments. Let me see. Let me see. Perhaps even this piano brings me more than other sounds could do. Especially if I throw a lush reverb afterwards. Let me see if I have something. I'm not impressed. Wow, the Venus Theory has its own preset section in... Yeah, he's got his hands deep into UVI territory. Of course, the MIDI that comes in here, I could... let me see, I could put a pitch in front and lower the values that come in from OXI One by 1 octave, 12 semitones, or 24. So that the piano now plays 2 octaves lower than the modular rig is doing. Let's save from time to time, because we all know that Ableton can crash. Okay. So let's keep this piano bit in the background, just to fill it up a bit. So yeah, I removed this module, the Exxon 2. This is an expander for Pamela's Pro Workout, and I haven't used it yet. I bought it because I thought it would be useful for the future. So, and it's just easier to get one order into the door than 2 separate orders. Then I have to argue twice with my wife. I'd rather do it in one go. Okay. So what's Sadar doing? It's shaping the level that we hear. Well, that's just an example. Okay, that's good. Now we want to have the filter, frequency, and resonance be changed as well. I could use an LFO, because everyone knows I love LFOs. But I can use triggers from Pamela's Pro Workout, which is not connected then to... Oh wait, we have a clock. We can clock... Oh, whoa, wait. There's a clock input, so I can have the OXI One tempo follow the tempo of my rig. Oh. Yeah, if you put this module upside down, it could be called Argue with My Wife. Then Splarf button would go up, of course. This would help a lot, by the way. Putting this button in the up position. Okay. Let's see if we can clock OXI One with the clock coming from Pamela Pro. It's not happening, but there must be some kind of magic. There is now we can also, if we could, this light is sometimes lighting, but not very often. Do you see that? That is not 60 times, that's not 60 lights per minute. So it's not behaving. Oh, that's because I set the first output to be 5 times slower than the clock. If we fix that, we can set it to exactly the clock. Now this light will blink 60 times per second. Yeah, it does. Can anyone count? I don't have time for that. These lights are fun, especially for these types of signals where you will want to see if something is triggering or not. Manuel from OXI was very smart to include a free sample bag of these, because now I want more of them. Oh gosh, we keep falling for the marketing traps. Okay, so I want this clock that goes into clock in on the OXI Pipe, which is, I'm sure, going into the machine. 1, 2, 3. You think it's, yeah, that should be enough. Okay, let's look at Le Manual. The manual written by Manuel. That's a cheap-ass joke. I take that back. And see if we can find anything about receiving clock signal from... Also, I will stop the sequence for a while. Wait, what? Oh! Uh-oh, alarm. I stopped the sequencer. And now, as you can see, there is a clock coming into the pipe. And it's actually, what it does, it starts the sequence every second, but then also, at the end of that second, it stops the sequence. This is what it now does. So it's definitely sending the clock from Pamela into the OXI One. Let's see if we turn the knob on Pamela. Sorry, Pam. Gonna touch your knobs. See? It's now starting the sequencer 128 times per minute. And now it's doing it 174 times, which the OXI cannot follow, so it's now confused. Yeah, it lost its sync somehow. But it doesn't. See, it has here, it switches from internal to external clock all the time. So this must be a setting inside of the OXI. Okay, I stopped Pamela and I stopped the... Yeah, let's not do this. Let's read a manual. Okay. So, analog clock, CV input, clock synchronization. There we go. We need to find out what's happening with the clock. Is there no full screen mode on this software? Apparently not. Okay. Okay, when OXI One starts up, sequencer 1 is selected by default and internal synchronization mode is set. The following sync options can be changed by tapping Shift plus Stop. We want to have... there are 4 options. See, I can only handle 3. That's why I was always an Apple fan. They always offered their computers in 3 models. Like beginner, medium, and pro. That was all. And that was perfect. I cannot handle more than that. Okay, so what we can do on the OXI is not use the internal timing. Oh, this is wonderful. If this will work, I will be so happy. Okay, so shift. No, not shift. What do I press? Shift stop. It's now on internal. It's super tiny. You cannot read it. And I don't have loop up skills to blow this screen up. I don't have enough cameras or I could do it actually, but I won't. No, I won't. Okay. Shift. Stop. It now listens to USB. It now listens to MIDI. Oh, and wait, what? Oh, clock. Yeah, it now listens to the clock input. It has one on the back, but as I'm using the OXI Pipe, it now has one here. So now, oh man. Oh no, it still doesn't work. It still doesn't work well. Okay, so it's getting back to internal while I set it to clock. So it keeps resetting to internal. So there's something. Yeah. Oh man, I wish there was at least a volume button on most humans I have to deal with. OXI One reads and outputs MIDI clock. When OXI One is synchronized with a DAW in which either of them acts as a master clock, remember to adjust the MIDI clock sync delay in your DAW. Yeah, but I don't want that. Auto clock can be enabled, disabled. Auto clock in the config menu. Press Alt and click the left mouse button. Ow. Ouch. Alt. There's no Alt. Wait, what? Internal clock. Oh, when the OXI One receives a MIDI stop message, or when the external synchronization source is lost, it will refer to internal. Okay, that is fair. So, but that would mean that I would also always have to connect PAMS. It doesn't change to 60 BPM. So it doesn't really work. What if I do it directly into? No, it's the same behavior. Okay, got it. Got it. Now, of course, I could do it the other way around because OXI has a clock output as well, which is, I guess, a CV, as a gate, a voltage as well. And I can put that into the clock input of Pamela. What then happens? No. This is blinking way too fast. So the clock input on PAMS, I should see how I can listen to that properly. Yeah, if I put it on 90 BPM, for example, the light is on almost all the time. So is there a way to config MIDI analog performance workflow system? No, it's not in system. Is it in analog? PPQ out. Yeah. 2. Yeah, it's now not blinking so fast anymore. So the output, like the resolution of the clock. Oh, let me switch to this so that you see what I do. So I can set the resolution of the output. Its default is 24 ppq. If I do that, then the light is blinking really fast. Oh, Noel. Okay, stop the show. Stop the show. Okay, guys and girls, if you see this now or later, let me introduce you to Noel Sharp. I met him on YouTube, or, well, met him is a big word. I saw him on YouTube for the first time a few weeks ago. Turns out to be a fantastic dude. He is very, I don't know, just very friendly. He has this nice attitude. He has a big background in his home studio. He's got the guitars, the synth, the weirdest MIDI to or like analog to MIDI converters you can think of. He has, like, probably just like me, 30 years of background at least in fiddling about. But he actually can play his instruments, which is what differs us the most, I think. He actually knows what he's doing, and he has this very friendly way and transparent way of talking about it. Well, yeah, in short, he's just another gear nerd. Okay, we got that. We got that figured out. We got it covered now. So, yeah, welcome, Noel. I am very fond of your videos, just like with Crazy Wabbit, who's in the channel right now. You guys have a way of talking about your nerdiness, which I can super relate to, and which is just very funny at times, and also eye-opening and inspiring for a grumpy old man like myself. So, Noel, meet Crazy Wabbit. Crazy Wabbit, get your hands off Noel. He is mine. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for your kind comments on my some of my videos. I am not worthy, and I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad I got something working, because otherwise I would be so ashamed. Okay, let me continue. I'm trying, Noel, to and I'm actually kind of succeeding already in sending note information from the sequencer of the OXI One Mk1 as voltage information through my Eurorack modules, so that I can have a sequence playing here. There are notes playing semi-randomly. In these 16 buttons define what we hear now, and those notes, those pitches, are being sent to an extension of the OXI One, which is this pipe module. It's turned into voltage and put into this particular module, which is my noise generator. And below that, 2 octaves below, you hear a piano playing inside my DAW, which comes from Pigments, because I just wanted to prove that OXI One is sending out this Eurorack compatible information at the same time as that it sends MIDI information over USB right now. So, and it can also send over your casual USB or MIDI connections. And it can do it at the same time. So you can configure for each of the 4 tracks that my OXI One has, where they send their note information to. So that's, yeah. Ooh, this is a nice sound. Try this in Pigments, dude. So, and here, like the shape of the sound I sent from this module into eventually Ableton Live, in this case, the shape is determined by this module. So you hear this brrr, this rattling kind of, and that is because I chose this waveform that you see here to determine the volume of the output. So by changing this form, I can entirely change how it sounds. I could actually, well, I have to find a green cable. But you're not wrong. By patching in the tennis ball, and yes, the real balls were hurt during the making of this video. By patching this into, I think, the level of the filter, and then squeezing, yes, by applying certain pressure, we can change. Do you hear it? It definitely, you learned a lot from my first lesson. You picked it up quite well, Noel. Hats off to you. So this is only the beginning. Imagine if I get my new batch of tennis balls. Actually, talking about that, I do expect a small shipment today, which will be a 19-inch rack. The last time I had a 19-inch rack was when I made it from wood about 25 years ago. And it was kind of, it fell apart. And I do have some 19-inch devices that I want to get back into business. So I ordered a very El Cheapo 19-inch rack. It will probably break under the weight of one of my modules. I will perhaps live stream the setting up the rack, because if something breaks, I want to have at least a record of it. Okay, but we have this issue. I want that. I want the clock of this module, which says 60 BPM, Oh, you cannot see it anymore because there's a cable over it. Oh, all right. Like this then, perhaps? Yeah. Here's 60 BPM. My OXI One says 29.5 BPM. I want those to match up. So I want to send the clock information from OXI One to Pamela Pro. And it doesn't let me do it. And also I tried to send Pamela's Pro clock through this module into the input of the OXI One, and it also didn't work. So we have to figure out the solution for this. So I should probably read two manuals, one for the clock out of the OXI, which I did find something for, the analog reset gate, V out, remember, CV in gate, voice allocate, pitch bend range. There are settings here that I should use. And its default is 24 ppq, which is a resolution of clock signal. That's in itself not so weird. And if I now start the sequence, you see the flashing of this light. So there is a clock signal being sent, but Pamela doesn't listen. Now, of course, Pamela is female, so I did not expect her to listen, but a man can try, right? So let's turn to the manual of perhaps not just OXI One, but also let me look up the manual for, where is it? I have a music document library somewhere. And is there an ALM PAMS Pro? Is there any manual for anything female? Probably not. Okay. Let me look it up. PAM Pro Workout Manual. Manuals and firmware. Pamela's Disco. Oh, I missed the latest news. ALM. Pamela's Pro Workout Manual. Okay, I will not. I don't have the. Let me download this. ALM PAM Pro Workout. I don't show you this on screen, but I will show you in a moment when I opened up the manual. I want to have at least some kind of privacy with streaming. ALM. So PAM Pro Workout Manual. How to work out. The file you are attempting to could harm your computer. What nonsense. A PDF file. The nonsense is real. Okay. So let's go to the display. This is the firmware of, I don't even know how I know what the firmware on my machine is. And I mean, the most I do with my rack, Eurorack, is keeping the firmware up to date. You also see a reference to the Exxon 2 expander, which I have put out of the rack to make room for the OXI Pipe. Let me see. Input clock. Okay, there is a clock input on page 20. By long holding the program knob on the BPM screen, this allows you to access various settings. Okay, the input clock defines the action of the clock input. It can be defines the expected pulses per node. It is recommended that you keep this value at default 24 and that the external clock is also set to 24. Okay, now we got something going then, because indeed the OXI One clock is set to, let's go to analog, is set to 24 ppq, which is the resolution of the clock signal. That's good. And it's recommended to do that here as well. So PEMS Pro, if I keep this button down. Excuse me. Or can I? This one. Input clock. Aha, the input clock is set to clock sets the input to receive an external regular pulsed signal of which to sync to. The PPQN setting must match that of the external clock. Okay, so if I go to external clock PPQN, it's set to ×4, which is not correct. It should be set to ×24. Yeah, because that is what it's supposed to be. And input, if we get a clock input, it will run. Let me see. Defines the action of the run input. Oh, I don't use the run. We could probably get some starting message from a different module. I don't think OXI sends it, or perhaps it sends it over one of the CV or gate outputs. Could be. And then we could arrange that once the sequencer on OXI starts running, that Pamela also starts running. Okay, let me see. I have set this up. UI theme. Save banks. Okay, in that case, how do I get out of this? Long press again. Okay. Now, if I start here, they both work at the same PPQ. There is an input signal, but it's apparently not in the correct format. I can change the speed, the BPM on the OXI One, but Pam is not following. Will she if I start? She doesn't. Doesn't work at all. Which makes me... No. Can the OXI One even go above 128, or is there a special setting? Is there not an old man safety setting? Oh boy, it goes to 131. Could it reach 147 like your Mark II can? It can! Why did you ever buy the Mark II if this can also go slow? Fast. More importantly, why doesn't this follow? No, I will keep it lower. $39 and it still says 60 here. So somehow the signals... Better performance with your tennis ball. Yeah, with that speed you need 2 balls. It has never been done with 1 ball. What if I squeeze it? No, it doesn't really change it as well. So it's track 1 gate. I can make the gate open longer or shorter. Does that help? That's pretty annoying, actually. What is the performance? Auto sync. No. Analog PPQ out. I'm now changing the resolution of the output clock on one side. Let me see. Let's set it to 2 PPQ. and set Pamela's to 2 as well. See if they then understand each other. It's not even an option. And it clearly says that I should use 24, so that's not the solution. PPU in is also 24. Reset, start, stop. Pulse reset, start, stop. Let's see if that helps. Not really. Okay, I'm kind of... Stop motion. I'm kind of out of ideas, actually. It's not very funny that I cannot synchronize the clocks of these two devices. It's Pam is being a Pam. It's a straight Pam in the ass. To bypass the OXI Pipe, mono cable from OXI clock out to Pam. If you did, ignore me. That's actually what I'm doing. I will show you. I will disconnect the pipe. This is the pipe. So no more node or gate information is being sent to this module. The only thing left is the piano playing through MIDI, 2 octaves lower. And it says on the screen now that it's internally clocked. So the OXI One is now the master clock, actually. And I want Pamela to listen to it. I can try it the other way around, because, I mean, if we assume that OXI is male and Pamela's female, I made a cardinal error. Oh, set it to clock. Okay, I can do that. USB, MIDI, clock. It's now not starting. If I set it to clock, I think it waits for a clock signal. That's okay. I can do it like this. See if you like the clock input. And then take one of the 8 outputs from Pam, which is clock. Start. So it's the lights show. This should be 1 per second. 1 per second. But the OXI is not listening. Configure it. The clock input is also 24 PPQ. Why is it not listening? What if I use a different cable that does not have the fancy lights? Not a green cable, it's reserved for tennis balls. So, output. No, it doesn't do the trick. It doesn't start because it wants a clock from outside. Let me see. What does the clock's output? Input clock. Yeah, this clock input serves as a clock input. That's fine. Okay, that's good. That's all good. Now, if we go to this channel 1, it has 8 outputs. It can do multiple things. What if I long press the button on channel 1? Okay, I can have it make a shape. Maybe maybe it's too long or too short of a clicky thing. I will unplug to USB in a moment. Let me try different shapes first. Perhaps Wait, CV1. Clock. Perhaps it needs like a very specific shape to actually be recognized as. Let me see, shape. But then I can set the width of the shape. I can make it less wide so that it starts to see it perhaps more as a tiny triggering signal. I'm just trying here. So would you? Okay, removing it from USB. That's a good thinking. No, that's good. Unplugging USB, so it cannot secretly be synced to Ableton Live now anymore or whatever. So we have internal clock, USB, MIDI. These are all disconnected, and then clock. Clock or CV in. These are all outputs. The pipe does have. Sorry that you have to see me go through this, Noel. The pipe. What? Okay. The pipe does have clock input, so I could patch it directly into there so that I'm sure that it lands in the proper location inside the OXI. So the notes are still transferred that way. The clock is not being recognized as such. This is it's interesting. There's a level on the clock, on the output. Maybe it needs a lower level, like a lower voltage. That's not it. There are more. Offset, phase. Oh. As you can see, there's a lot that you can change. The probability 100%. Euclidean steps. Invert. Yes. Invert. No. Quantize. Scope. There's a scope. This shows us the clock on channel 1 of Pamela's Pro. You see that every second there is definitely well, Crazy Rabbit would say everyone needs an OXI. Couples therapy with Pam. I will rip her out of the case if she's not playing ball. I mean, it's as easy as unscrewing 2 screws and she's a goner. But where do I then get my clock from? As long as everything is handled by OXI with its 7 CV or 8 CV and gate outputs, it's all clocked according to the sequencer. And no, Noel, you don't need an OXI One. Don't buy this. Don't buy the Mark One that I have. It's good. It's great. But don't, like, for example, go buy a second-hand Mark One now that the Mark Two is out. Just go buy that. It's super expensive, like €900 or $900 or something. It's probably more expensive for you guys in the States than it is for me in Europe, because in the European Union, they will send it from Spain without extra tariffs, which we don't have, and without shipping. But still, I think it's about 900 euros, which is a ton of money. It's powerful because it allows you to play. It allows you to perform if you put the time in. I did not, but it can do that, and it is more fun than, say, your digital audio workstation. But it depends. If I would want to make a song and finish something, I would just do it in the DAW, in Reaper or Ableton Live or Bitwig or whatever. Um, but for having some fun and now combining it with Eurorack, I think it's cool. I received this as a gift from one of my synth friends, which is the Squarp instrument Hermod. There is by now a Hermod Plus, and you may know the Apex by Squarp Instruments, which is an external sequencer that's super powerful and it's super performant. So, so this can kind of do what this can do, but I wouldn't call this like for performing. But it is a powerful sequencer for Eurorack. But if you get an OXI One or comparable gear, you can, like I just did, send note information to your DAW or to your hardware synth, just as easy as you can do at the same time, if you want, to modular modules. Oh, and it's now not working because it's waiting for an external clock and not receiving it while I send like a big ass clock. Reset CV in. Wait, what just happened? Oh, no. Since from Deluge, I can tell you that the Deluge has been on my wish list since I first saw it a few years ago. It's a very interesting sequencing machine with also sound generation inside, and also some CV connections. So the CV you would need to control gear like this. Um, the upside and the downside of the Synthrom Deluge is that it offers a ton of features, and you will. It's I would say it's a device that you need to use every day to keep up with its features and to not forget the key combinations. And the OXI One, I put it away for months. I didn't make much music this year. I switch it on and I kind of remember where certain things were. And it's not too long after that there's actually music playing. And on a Deluge, you can probably do way more, but you have to be a very regular user to keep it working like that, I think, at least. No, that's not what I think. That's what people think. And that's what kind of stopping me from buying it. But it's a wonderful machine. Right now, you see, by the way, a lot of modules. And besides the tennis ball and some of the modules, I use nothing else. So one module can do stuff, but the feature set of a Eurorack rig actually exponentially grows by the number of modules you add. It's not like, oh, I add one module so I can do twice as much. No, I can probably do 2.5 times as much. And then when I add another, I cannot do 3.5 times as much. No, I can probably do 5 times as much, because the modules have certain, most of them are focused on certain functionality, although there are some bigger modules that do a lot at the same time. but you can combine them. You can feed one into the other, into the next, and that brings some type of. I mean, I have been a programmer all my life, software designer and programmer and stuff. So this suits my way of thinking. But on the other hand, it will take quite a while to get to know a single module, let alone combined with the one next to it and the one on top. So the number of combinations that you can make lead to unpredictable results, which is, I think, part of the fun of Eurorack. But I would not make a song or even include anything from this in a real song making process, I think. But if you get to know your modules better, you get to know them by heart, then you can probably think up something in beforehand in your head and then patch it and get it over with. But the fun is probably in the experimentation. Oh, you do have the deluge, Noel, and you have to look at the manual, yes. Deluge is MIDI learn. Is that like not working like you want? Can you not easily bind it to functions in your iOS apps or in your DAW? Or is that the number of iOS apps I bought, while not on par with cost, are in quantity? Yeah. You did not find much success with MIDI flow. Okay, I cannot say anything helpful in that regard. I don't know anything about how Deluge works, but I have been tempted by it for years. But that's not really helpful. And it doesn't take too much for me to be tempted, to be honest. Yeah. You need to manually learn each time I turn it on. Oh, it doesn't remember it on a project basis or something. So I am not able to send a clock from Pamela's Pro Workout to the OXI One. Now there must be some kind of. I mean, it's sending like a full like an on and off switch 60 times per minute to the OXI. I mean, how hard can it be? So Deluge is a beast. Yeah. Yeah, I think it is. So if I use the internal clock, MP with Linstrument. Yes. The Linstrument is in a shopping cart at Thomann for a long time already. And so are a few other devices. I have been looking to buy another synthesizer, and most of them come as like fully contained packages with a good keybed and so on and so forth. But I cannot really play keys. So I have a Waldorf Quantum Mark II, which has a fantastic Vatar keybed with polyphonic aftertouch and all the bells and whistles. I never use it because it's so big. It covered this entire desk and some more. And I didn't use it, but I don't, on the other hand, don't want to keep buying synthesizers which all come with these expensive keys. So, but on the other hand, I'm also not very motivated by using VSTs. So modulars, not these modules, but like desktop modules or rack modules of synthesizers, like my good old Korg Wavestation SR. I'm gonna put it back in a rack when I receive it later this afternoon. And see if I can connect it again to MIDI and to an audio interface, and if I like it again. And that's a module that has no keys, but I can sequence it from the OXI One. I can play it from the keypad of the Waldorf Quantum if I would unbox it again. I can play it with my Ableton Push or with the Novation Launchpad. So I would rather have like a flagship synth with a like a Novation Launchpad interface built in. So I have asked Novation multiple times, like seriously asked them and begged them to create a synth like, for example, the Novation Summit, but remove the keypad and make the middle part an Launchpad interface for all of us who really cannot really play piano or keys that well, but do want the soundscaping options of a Summit. I loved the Summit, except for that I couldn't bear some of the harshness of its sounds, so I returned it. But I asked Novation multiple times, could you please invent like the first synthesizer, hardware synthesizer, analog or digital, doesn't matter, with a pad interface for all of us who would love to have the sequencers and the pads that we can set to a certain scale so we don't get to play wrong notes. And I even sent them a few suggestions for the naming of those types of synthesizers, but they didn't do it. Yes, I have the big blue one. Yeah, the Mini Freak looks like fun because it would be fun to have for the soundscaping, for the sound designs. And that was also with the Summit. I made a few videos where I gave myself 5 minutes to come up with a sound on the Summit. And those videos were super cool to make. And it was super nice to touch the faders and knobs on Summit. But I had a sequence playing from my DAW over MIDI into the Summit so that I could use two hands to turn the knobs. And that hands-on sound design, although far less extensive as it is in, for example, UVI Falcon, it's way more fun because you can turn a knob, multiple knobs at the same time if you want, and hear the result immediately. Oh, Noel, yeah, the lighted keys on the Control S61, they keep you in the certain key as well, right? This is also true for OXI One, by the way. I set this particular track to G minor. So if you go into preview mode, you will see that the blue you will see the scale that you have set on your track. So you can play this. I have had synthesizers for a long time. I will make a video about that just because, oh, like I said in comments of one of your videos, Noel, I was about to type that I had a D10 and I had a Kurzweil K2000 and a PC4 and whatnot. But I'm going to make a video about it. It's more fun for archival purposes. But I never really got to make music because I couldn't play the keys. And it was not until I purchased the Launchpad Pro Mark III from Novation that suddenly my music making ability skyrocketed. So I made a lot of jams and tunes with that. Later, I got the Push 3 by Ableton, which is superior in its feel and its control with knobs. But I think I used the Novation Launchpad 9 times more than the Push so far. But that's a matter of time and digging in. then it's a matter of which one is best. Hand gloves, you buy them. Yeah. So that you can. No, I'd rather have. No, I don't know. I don't need that stuff. With scale display on those pad controllers, I can manage quite well. I do notice by the way, that by using those controllers, that I often end up playing the same chord progressions or note sequences. There, I have a few that I have now like memorized, and I keep coming back to those. So I'm basically for over 3 decades, perhaps I'm coming up with the same song. I just never finish it. An Akai Force. Oh, cool. Yeah, and I saw Crazy Rabbit has his Akai MPC1 back. I remember the days he was bashing it, and now he's loving it again, and I love that. And that's with a lot of gear, and we have to be careful when to let go of gear or when to buy, because often we buy stuff like my rack here with modules, which this gear is ahead of my knowledge. So it's very easy to discard them as useless. But I haven't read like any manual, so I have no clue, which is also true for OXI One. It's some of its functions are so obvious that I can do them without reading a manual, but I don't put the work in. So I don't know. Is it worth it? I don't know. It depends. Often depends on your financial situation. The TR8S is a wonderful machine. So was the MC707, by the way, because it has so many of the classic Roland sounds if you wanted to. But yeah, lesson learned. Not rebuy it. That's thing is a goner. By the way, I can hear. I noticed that the Pixie, which is an analog synthesizer module. Yeah, you keep the MC707. You got so many Roland sounds at your fingertips, and you will not appreciate it today, but over the years you will, for sure. I still don't own a proper Roland synthesizer, and I cannot believe that I don't. The Pixie is analog, and it's going out of tune. I can hear that because this G is not in tune with the underlying piano anymore. So let me pull up the display. That clock with Pamela, I have to figure that out. I'm not entirely sure if I can still do that on this stream. I want to. So let me see if I still have a tuner on this channel. Yes, I do. So if I press that same G2, okay, it's tuned higher. That's fine, but it's kind of a G, but plus 38 cents above it. So it is running out of tune, and that could be just from a light in the vicinity, or the tennis ball is emitting some warmth. So I will retune it. I can. I might as well go an octave lower. It's almost impossible to tune because there's no fine tuning on this module. And it will be drifting away from the tuning again, which is true of most analog synthesizers. But I'm pretty damn close now. It's really tough. Okay, like 15 cents above, I think. It's as close as I can get. Okay, now we can continue to make something. I will fiddle with the clock later. I think it's not going to happen today. I didn't really need it for today's tests, but I'm kind of frustrated that I can't make it work. But it's all part of the fun, of course. Again, I could throw away PAMs or I could throw away anything, but it doesn't solve the issue. And I mean, from my software developing days, I have done like debugging for 30 years. So that's what software development is. I mean, so I shouldn't complain. Let's get out of this. What I still wanted to do is, okay, I can show you something else. So every time a note is played here, there is a gate coming in here. And that gate is being used to trigger something here so that this volume opens up and we hear the sound, okay? But if I want to do more using that same trigger, there are ways to do that. I could use this. It's just a simple device which can split that one trigger into 5 others. Well, not others, 5. It copies that same trigger signal across 5 other cables so that I can trigger multiple destinations with it. But there's also something called a mult. And a mult is this module here. Let me grab a longer cable. So I could get that gate signal. So every time that note goes on, there's a gate. I can send it into the first input of this multi module. This is a passive module. There's no power or anything needed to run it. But every time I press the gate, you will see these lights come on. And this gate signal is now available on all of these 6 outputs. So if I now get one of the outputs and put it back here, the gate will still control the level of output of that sound, okay? But we can do multiple things with those gates. So every time I press a note, perhaps I want to do something else as well. Okay. What do I want to do? Well, I could trigger another signal in, let's say we want to trigger another envelope, another shape here. Every time I press the gate, I press a note, you will also now see a line, and you will see this green light come on. So this gate signal, from pressing just a key on the OXI, now goes to 2 different inputs of this module. So we can do funny things with that, because this has its own output. I ran out of light cables, but it's okay. Output of this. And we can use that to shape the filter. So the sound of Pixie goes through a filter. So I can filter out the high frequencies. But we can do that with this shape as well. So if I put it here, let's do it the other way. Open the filter completely. So let it play for a while. So we can play with this shape and see what we hear. And hear what we see. So what happens is that Zadar is sending this envelope, this shape that you see, it's sending it as a voltage into the input here of the filter. And the higher the voltage, so this peak is here, the higher the voltage, the more it will internally turn this knob counterclockwise, closing the filter. I don't want to do that by hand all the time. So it's like an LFO, but it's just not shaped like an LFO. And it only triggers. It triggers every time a note comes in. I like this one because it opens and closes the filter. It is like short notes are being triggered after one another, which has a nice effect combined with the delay that I added inside of my DAW. It's cool. Okay, that's cool. We can also change this resonance. But we don't have to do that with Zadar and only when a note is playing. We can have an LFO going up and down all the time without being triggered, just going on all the time. And that's where Ornament and Crime, for example, comes in. It's hard to see now, but this is a module that can have multiple functions. And let's set it to app and LFO, which is one of its functions that I know about. Wait, does it hang up on me now? It does. I think this module just crashed. Okay, I will pick another one. I have more. So here I have an app and LFO. This is a module that, or this is an applet on this module that can do an LFO. It can play LFO, so it can go up and down in various shapes, and it will output this as a voltage on output A and B. So let's use it. Output A is the upper LFO line you see. And I can use that to control the resonance, I think. Oh, okay. Then I'll have to remove the tennis ball squeezing from that. So I will have the tennis ball do something else. I will give it a different function, like trigger this. This will go into the resonance. You hear it already. So this resonance knob is now being controlled by... Oh, yeah. Buy more gear. Work less, buy more. That's what we all advertise here in the community. Thanks a lot for being here, Noel. I really enjoy your company. And I'm a big fan of yours, but I already mentioned that. So, work hard, retire soon, and play more, okay? So the resonance is now controlled by the LFO, and by turning the knob at a certain position, that gives him a starting place of where to go from. So, LFO, we can set the level of the LFO. Maybe we don't want to have such a dramatic effect on the knob. There's a certain speed at which we can do. Is there a way to do this fast? I mean, how can we do this faster? I cannot set it to a clock because it doesn't get a clock information. I can give it clock. It just won't correspond to the clock of our sequencer here, but that's okay. I will give it a clock at which it should run. So now it listens to a clock. It will play every second, but it doesn't have to. I can make the clock. I can make it run once every 4 beats, or once every 7 beats. Can pick a different shape. Introduce a big peak. I didn't hear that. Let me set the level back to 100. Ooh, see, the higher this graph gets, the more the more pronounced the resonance will get. So this clock is completely separate now from the clock of the OXI One because I cannot get them in sync yet. I will figure that out, of course. You can also change the timbre of this module. because it has its own input, we can use another LFO. I think this module actually is completely... Yeah, it's completely hung up. Okay, I'm going to turn off everything. I mean, I don't use presets or anything. I hope it just turns on again with what we were left off. The only thing you hear playing is that Pigment's piano in my DAW. So I'm restarting everything. And it's back to where it was, because that's just how it works. There's nothing lost or anything. It's what you do in modular. This thing now works again. Okay, so I can have... Oh no, it doesn't. I didn't save the app and LFO. So it's back now. Yeah, I forgot to say this one can actually be saved, and I didn't. So starting the clock here again. Now the app and LFO will start running. Okay, this one is working. I can launch another LFO on this module now as well, if all's fine. Yep, it works. If I don't trigger it, it will still run. I can put the output of this into, let me see, the timbre of the plats, so it will start changing the timbre of the sound based on this LFO. I can also use the lower graph. And I can have it. I have to look up in the manual how to change the speed of the LFO, how to change that in bigger increments. Because this is not the way. This takes forever. Now I'm going into seconds territory, but this is not the way. I will rather clock it from PAMS. Use another clock output, but a really slow one I could do. It's now set to really fast. See? So the timbre is now being changed really quickly. So we get into the world of War of the Worlds territory again. So we'll get to output 5 of PAMS. We can get it slower. See? It changes now, but slowly. It works now. You change the slope. And the shape. That's fine. So now you can start to see how combining different modules and still playing only one voice here and a piano inside the DAW gives us a certain sound. Let's speed it up. Changing the scale, the key of the... Going to C major, just like that. So, yeah, we got stuff going on. Here you can see the tuning on this module. Oh, it's drifting a bit, mainly above the intended notes. So temperature is still having effect on the sound. But that's fine. We can run another track in. Let me see. I want to add another MIDI track, but shove it inside of the group so that it gets ducked under my voice, and get an input from OXI One, channel 2, and I will in a moment play something there. What do I play there? Probably another Falcon patch. Selecting a sound. Okay. What speed are we on? Currently 60. I will have to set this. I'm not syncing yet to the speed of the OXI One. I could of course do that. Let's see if we can send something from the OXI track 2 into... So C2 major, I'm gonna set it here as well. And let's see if we play something by hand. Okay. So we're just combining modular sequencing through this OXI pipe into these modules with MIDI notes sent straight into our DAW. And it's working. Okay. Let's see what kind of... Let's see how chords work. I don't know how this works. Why is it on? Wait. Not what I want. I can do matricial mode. Let me see. I can make this go this particular sequencer on channel 2. Let me see. BPM. No, I want to change. I think. Quarter notes. Each note I want to play a bar of in this first part of the matrix. And I can, oh, now I can suddenly do Euclidean, I guess. I don't hear. It's not very interesting. I need to have different sounds going, different note values. And I only want to pick from 4 values. It's not really working as intended, I think. No, because it only plays the same C2 every time. Not what I want. That's the problem if you don't know how your stuff works. Okay, setting it to... I can, of course, make it... use the 64 steps now. That's good. But I want the steps to be not 32 notes, but 16, not 8. 4. Okay, that's good. If I go to 16 and this. Let's see what this does. So it will play now. making sure the resonance doesn't get too harsh on the filter, because those high frequencies can hurt people. This pad is now playing. Okay, we now have a pad. So I'm kind of wrapping up, I think. I'm trying to add one more small sequence with a droning sound from Falcon. So it's clear I have to learn a few things after this. First, how to use the OXI One better for sequencing. How to sync the clock of OXI One to Pamela's Pro workout and the rest of my gear, because that didn't work in all the ways we tried, which is obviously not good. Okay, I can switch. D sharp minor. Just like that. Oh, I have to be careful with one of my displays. I'm not too fond of this sound. So here's Falcon. I should probably record a bit of the end result, but I usually don't. We'll always have the video, right? So I will leave you with this for a few minutes. This is the result of 2 hours and 42 minutes of fiddling about. It's not much that I have to show for. But thank you so much, Noel and Webbit, for being here today. Malta's dropped in for a moment, had to catch go get his dad. Webbit and Noel, thank you very much. I appreciate your thoughts. Thank you, Webbit, for trying to help me debug. We will find out what we need to do to make this better. Thank you. And I'll see you soon, I'm sure, because I'm back in business, baby. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.